Hey, welcome back on Sacred Enzyme. We're on part 3 as we continue our discussion on the book of the Celestial Ship of the North by Emily Valentina Straighten. And we're talking more about the Typhonian order, the loss of our mother that's been taken from our history books and has been an overturn of society, and how we are out of balance and we've got to get back into our Divine Mother so we can turn this ship around. But in order for us to do that, we have to know what's going on. And so I want to talk about one of these kings that was in Egypt, and his name was King Menes, and he was he's been pretty much a lot of stuff. You can't read a lot of stuff about him on line, and I'm gonna have to try to find a book on him because it's convoluted, just like I talked about in the other thing. There's just like a lot of crap threaded in, and they'll say, oh, it's just myth and it's that and that. Well, I hate to tell you that myths are not just phony baloney stuff. That myths were founded on natural facts. So there's no such thing. So King Menes was the one that has been given credit for connecting the people of the monumental period with Egyptian history, okay? This is astrologically, they're thinking that it's about 4,560 years before Christ, or about almost 6,600 years ago, right? And this represented the time when the bull was in Taurus. So we've got the bull, Mina, was in Taurus. King Menes was in Taurus, the time of Taurus. And so this is where you get all this bull stuff. You get all these bulls that are showing up in these temples that are on the hieroglyphics, and also they're very faintly etched inside of some of these if you look at them in a certain light, because remember, we've got the morning star and the evening star. And all of these temples were built on different planetary spots that had to do with where the planets were. So that's why we have monuments that are all over the earth, because as the earth was moving in these different epochs, then the variations of the lines, the energy lines, were going to change a little bit, because remember, they were lining up for the solar and the lunar cycles. And it had a lot to do with having children, because this is one of the reasons why they are so captivated with that dung beetle in Egyptian times, is because that dung beetle actually took its germ, which is its seed, right, and rolled it up in a ball of dung, which is phosphorus, right? And other things, putrefaction 101. And that beetle would roll that dung ball to the edge, as close to the edge of the Nile, that it would intuitively know how far that the floods were going to come in, and it would be as close to the water as possible, yet not get wet. And so this is one of the reasons why they cherish these beetles, is because these beetles let them know all about the lunar cycle, because the moon controls the water, okay? And so also it controlled the fertility, because on the 28th day was the manifestation. Remember, they talk about 28 being a number of manifestation. I was born on the 28th day. So they talk about on the day 28 that the manifestation of that germ turned into life on the 29th. But they also say that women, they can't conceive on a lunar cycle. And I wrote that down exactly what it is, and we'll get to that in a minute. I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole here. But this is when we have the time of Taurus, and it really shows up. You've got the bull of Osiris, you've got the bull of Menes, and then you've got those bulls, those depictions where they're jumping over the bull. The reason that they have their jumping over the bull is just marking an end of an epoch, the end of Taurus, and that they're going into a new epoch. So it wasn't because they were just jumping bulls for fun. I thought that it had something to do with some kind of sex rite, but it has nothing to do with that. The more I'm reading, the more it's just where they were going out of Taurus and they were going into, going into June. And so whatever astrology is for June, is that Gemini? So then you got in Taurus, and this is the time of Taurus represented life and generation. And then you have Menes, they say, had Atlantean knowledge, that he had all of the knowledge from Atlantis. And that Atlantis, this information can be found right by the pyramid in Egypt. So the question is was the head on the Sphinx actually maybe a bull and not a lion? Maybe, or maybe it was one of these other ones. Maybe it was the epoch that was before Taurus, and it had a different head. That's not what it is now. I think that it was definitely something that had to do with an astrological epoch. And so King Menes had Atlantean knowledge, and the Bull of Menes is the celestial birthplace of the sun, or Heliopolis. Osiris and Menes is the death of sun in Scorpio. And so when you had this time, when we went into Scorpio, is when we had a complete change. We went out of a golden age and we started into a dark age. Basically is how it goes, because everything runs on a cycle. Right now we're going into a golden age, and when we get into Capricorn is when it's really going to be on. It's really going to be on. So one thing that I did find interesting was that in the Urantia book, they say that the planet was called Urantia, and that the first city was U-R, because Urantia, U-R-A-N-T-I-A, right? Okay, well, also the angel Uriel is assigned to the planet Urantia, okay? So it was called Urantia, and it was by angel Uriel, which is the north and the earth, angel north and the earth. So Uriel, if you break down that name, because I say we're going to have to look at everything like in the old languages, the very root of the word Greek. U-R means original, I means go, and L, of course, means God. Okay? Well, earth means E means out of, AR means time, and TH means 10. So we're out of time 10. So does this mean that this is the 10th time? This is the 10th epoch? And that's why we're called Earth? Because if you look up how we got the name Earth, they tell you something that you know in your heart that makes zero sense. You're just like, okay, that doesn't even make any sense. How they would say that it comes from a German word for wood or something like that. I mean, and then they give you a similar word. They never want to tell you the truth. Got to go to the roots and break everything down. We got to go back to the root words. So the Minoans had King Menes and his Minoans, which Minoans, Minoans, get it? How these words just kind of keep going and keep going? Because we had the Chem people, the land of Chem, these African people. They went into Egypt. They went back to South Africa. They went to Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, they kept the religions of the mother, the Divine Mother. They also went to India. And that these people were later in the Minoan culture, just like those old pots that have those paintings on there. That's all from the civilization, this Atlantean civilization. And these people, they were like priests and priestesses. They were like magi's, like Moses he went to Egypt to learn. He went to Egypt to learn. He went to the mystery schools. This was what the mystery was. The mystery is the mother. The mystery is the mother. And so Typhon, if you go to look up Typhonian religion or the Typhonian order, all they want to tell you is about the dragon Typhon and how, you know, he got his head chopped off by Zeus. And, you know, that's a myth, right? But what's the truth in that? So was Zeus the mark of the time of Scorpio where, you know, the mother got her head chopped off and that they made her out to be like this terrible thing, like a fire-breathing dragon? I mean, think about it. They said that the myths are all based in truth. So Typhon was destroyed, and this was when you see these Egyptian figures that have a crocodile face, because they use the dung beetle for like fertility, follow a cycle. And also the crocodile had to do with day and night. When the head came up, it was a certain time, and the tail is the last thing that goes down when it hits the dark water. So this was why they symbolized the crocodile with this. And so this is when you see this crocodile head on this humanoid being, it's the end of the epoch. This is when the crocodile took over. Typhon was destroyed. And then we had the possession from Taurus into Aries. And then, you know, Aries is basically the beginning of that epoch. So it was Taurus, then it went into Aries. But we had Sabak to Sut, which gave us Chronos. So this is when we start having time, real time, because around this time is when we had this fall of this dynasty. Okay, we went from one age into another. And so, you know, we eventually get down into the sun god, which is Pisces, which is Shu, and then we have the son of man. So the tomb of one life was the birth of another. And so these temples just kept moving from one epoch to the next. So when we were in the age of Taurus, we had them in one place, and then we were in the age of Aries, it was another, and then when it was the age of Pisces, it was another, and so on and so forth. So, and then Gemini. I think that the epoch for Gemini was where you had all of these sacrifices. You had in the epoch of Gemini, there was a lot of twins being sacrificed to gods. And we have, as it's listed in this book, we have 28,000 years in between from one epoch to the same epoch comes around again. Okay, so Pisces was 2,000 years ago. So we won't have another age of Pisces for 26,000 years. So it takes a full cycle, 28,000 years. So we're coming back. You know, we're in the age of Aquarius now, which is the light bearer. So we're bringing forth the life, right? We're bringing the light forward. We're doing our light work. We're the light bearers, okay? Then we're going to go into Capricorn. We're going back into Mother, because this is the sea goat, which they symbolize as a hippopotamus in early days. The hippopotamus was actually considered the Divine Mother God, the animal. So we'll be ushering in the Divine Mother, And so we're getting into 15 minutes now. So I'm going to end part 3, and we're going to come back and talk about part 4 and Seb from Egypt and the god of time. And then we're going to talk about the Akkadians and the Egyptians and how all this stuff ties in together. So thanks for spending 14 minutes with me, and I'll catch you on part 3. Thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme. Bye-bye.